So just to start off, can you tell us where you study, what your major is, and what your current year?
I study at MIT. I'm a class of 2024, and my major, I haven't declared it yet because we declare at the end of the first year. But I'm thinking of doubling computer science and math.
What is the one thing you did that you think contributed most towards your acceptance, and what was your biggest challenge?
I would say it's math competition because I feel like MIT really value like math competition a lot, and they even ask for like AMD scores in the application form. Um, so they really care about it. I think in the process of doing it, I would say like when like I feel like Ravenscroft doesn't really like have a lot of math community. Um, they do, but it was not like um, there's not a lot of people doing it. Also, like when I was in middle school, I wasn't really good at math. There were people that laugh at me and be like, "Why do you still do math competition? You're not good." But then I happened to get better during high school, and it was a great experience that I didn't give up, and I decided to continue. And also, I feel like I try to get more people in Ravenscroft to do
And
like
for clarification, Ravenscraft is your high school, right?
yeah. I feel like that's also something that college will value that I contribute to my community. I think.
When you mentioned there being a difference between how good you were at math and how people viewed you being good at math in middle school and high school, um, were you in the U.S. for all of that? Just curious.
No, when I was in middle school, I was in China, and there were so many people that are like just genius and be like crazy at math. So I was like, this might not be my thing, but I really like it, so I don't want to give up.
So do you think the switch from coming from China to the U.S. Do you think that had anything to do with your college decision and your acceptance?
I feel like coming to US make me know like what's more important and what's not. But in China, I feel like what everyone cares is like what your ranking is and what your test scores are, and like extracurriculars be like they're just for fun. It's like you do them for fun, but like now like for college application they really value it, and I'm that kind of person that do a lot of things out of school, so it gives me a lot of confidence that like I'm not that type of people that are like super good at testing and all that stuff. So I might seem less competitive, um but now I realize like life is not just scores. So um so like I feel like the transition make me like value myself more, and I know what I should work on to get better. I think that will help with my like college application, all that stuff.
So a lot of people have are of the mindset that if you make sure that everything you do optimizes your performance and makes your college resume look as good as possible, then you'll be more likely to get into college. But it sounds like from what you just said that you try to think more of like what I enjoy or what more is something that I would like to do. Do you think that made it easier for you?
Honestly, I'm gonna say like you can't do everything for fun. Like you have to, in the process of doing something, it's not always gonna be fun, right? There's gonna be some work you have to do, and it's always like boring. And but like if you want to succeed in an area, that's the like the process you're gonna go through, like no matter what you do. But like finding something that you really enjoy doing and you will like be happy when you succeed, or be at least not too sad when you're working on it, it's like better. You know what I mean? And also like how good your profile looks like is like not the most important thing that college value. It is important, but like it's not the only thing they consider. And they value more like how much effort you put in, and they want to know like where you started from. Like people like us will have a different like standard with like people from the super privileged class, right? And like, but our standard will also be different from like the people that don't have a lot of study material, you know? Like they value people's profile based on what resource you have and how well you utilize those resources.
What was your approach to the application process? Did you start in summer, like use a planner, schedule your own deadlines? I heard someone say they made a spreadsheet. So could you just talk us through how you finished the entire application process?
So I started gathering profile since I started high school. So like I basically have a Google Drive folder that I put in like regularly, like once every semester or so, like so that I keep track of what I did, even though like they might be like really small things and I won't fill in my college profile, but it might be useful so that you don't forget like things you did in your freshman year, and it might be helpful to your college application. I think when I actually start the application process, it's like the end of my junior year. So like I applied to some summer schools during my junior year for that summer, right? But that process is kind of similar to college application, except it's less material. So like I used a lot of those things, and like what I wrote in there was similar to to the things I wrote in my college application, but like the writing is much better and much just describe everything better. I started planning my like my application and essays in the summer. So I talked with my counselor and talked about my thoughts. Just like I arranged a meeting and be like kind of discussed like brainstorm kind of thing. And then I took the composition class in our high school. Like we have to take it for graduation. So like basically my college Common App personal statement was the essay I wrote in that composition class, one of those. So that's really helpful. That reduced my workload, I would say, a lot. Even though like the essay length is different, I'm able to like delete. I mean, deleting is always easier than like writing a brand new one, right? And I also used Google Drive to keep track of the deadlines. So my Google Drive looked like a school name with the deadline is a folder, and I put all the materials for that school in there. You know how essays be like, some essays be similar for different schools. I can also copy and move to different folders, right? But having the deadline next to a school name in your Google Drive folder is really helpful. So basically, I have that college application folder, right? And then in that folder, I have everything I need to complete as folders. And then there's the completed ones. I store all the materials in there. So like, it's always good to keep them just in case you want to use them again, or you want to see like years later, be like, oh, what did I write in my college application? You figure out it was fun. So yeah, just keep all the materials. Also for activities, like you know how there's activities section in Common App, right? Copy that and write it in Google Docs so that they have like the word count. They have word limit, right? And I really happen to spend a lot of time editing that part, as much time as I edit my essays, like to really like let the admission officers know like what you did and what you make different. Describe them concisely but correctly. It's like really important. Admission officers usually don't know exactly what you did if you just put some random things, be like, oh, that's a volunteer, and like I just like I donate money to whoever. It's like so similar to everyone else. So like really make sure that you write in there like what you did different to others. That's pretty important. And also use the additional information. If they have a lot of space that you can write in additional informations, like you can literally just put a link of your of some essays you wrote that you feel like you did really well on, or you can put a project you did, or the link to like what you described. Like for example, you did a project and you described in the activities section, you can just put the link in the additional information for their reference. Also, don't expect too much from your early part, because it's more like you get your experience from those applications and you know how to write your applications better, because the first one you submit is going to be pretty rough. If you get in, it's good, but if you don't, it's okay, because it's like the worst one you wrote.
What kept you going through the admissions process? I mean, the applications process, and what keeps you motivated now, especially with COVID? It's kind of two questions, but the main gist of it is, as someone who's got into a very good university and is clearly hardworking, what is your motivation for all of that hard work?
The first semester for first years at MIT is pass no record, which means if you get an A or B or C, you pass this class, and it won't be A, B, or C. It's just gonna be pass. And if you get below a C, you get no record, which won't appear on your transcript at all. You just have to take it again. Of course, no one want no record, but pass is much easier than getting an A, right? So it's not like a whole lot of work, I'm gonna admit. And then also like find someone have similar academic interests with me, so that always talk with them and always work with them can be like very helpful when you don't want to work anymore. And if you have a buddy like this, you can have them like yell at you when you don't study when you're supposed to study. And also don't force yourself if you really can't do it. I mean, there are just sometimes you just don't want to study at all. I used to do that. I used to force myself too much when I don't have to study, when I don't want to study. But I feel like if you do it too much, I mean, sometimes you have to, but if you do it too much when it's not necessary, it might not be great, I would say. And also, I would say the good thing for MIT is that I don't have to take a whole lot of history that I don't like. So basically, we have the humanities requirement, but it's really flexible, and we can pick a lot of things that we're interested in. So it's not too much pressure, and I'm more of a science person, so studying science is always like more motivation. Also, if you care about your grades, deadline will be the the most important motivation. So yeah, like if you care about your grades, then work. You want to have a better future.
So I know an issue that a lot of students struggle with is the stress of getting rejected by their dream college, or for those who don't have a dream college, by most of their colleges. How did you deal with the stress of being rejected by a college beyond doing additional like preparation, or like you said, trying to do something like applying for extra colleges in order to kind of satiate the fear of not getting into college at all?
If you feel like you did your best, it's their decision to accept you or not. It's always going to be disappointed when you are rejected, right? But I'm that kind of person that like get over it really quickly. So like when I get rejected by Duke, I was like, oh, okay. I feel like it's different for everyone, but as long as you get into somewhere, like it's not that bad. It might be disappointed, but getting rejected is like they are not saying that you're not great. It's like you're different from what they want. Every college is one different kind of person. So like it's just you don't fit in there. So like there it's good for you as well. Like you're not going because it might not be great. So accept it and move on. I'm that kind of person. I don't know how to explain it, but I hope you get it.
I know that you said that aiming for a certain college like kind of kept you motivated, like even with like schoolwork. And I'm sure you were excited to go to like apply for MIT and you were probably working towards it. Did MIT like reach the expectations or like meet the expectations that you had before going there?
I'm gonna say during COVID time, nothing gonna be meeting my expectations, but it's pretty good. They're doing, from my experience, the private schools are doing really well supporting students during the hard time. Public schools, I'm gonna say not as great because I know a lot. I'm like in close contact with a lot of friends and go into a lot of public schools like UC Berkeley, UCLA, and UNC. I'm gonna say they helped me to get through everything, and that's like the best I could think they can do, and it's great.
So what general advice do you have for students aiming for Ivy Leagues? Like if you could think of maybe one piece of advice that's the most important for someone to know who's a senior applying for college, what would that be?
Don't set yourself a standard. Like if you're aiming for Ivy League, I'm assuming you're pretty good, right? But good students always have a pride that assume that you're a really good student, so that I'm better than everyone. Don't show that. If you have that thought, don't show any of that to college admission officers, and try not to think that. Just if you do that, they're gonna assume that you've started from a really good place, and they're gonna raise the standard for you. Be like humble, explain like something you experienced that are difficult to you. They are gonna realize what you worked on. Like make them understand like your work and your difficulties and your experience. If you just show like what you accomplished, it's not gonna help.